where the investigation begins. Let's start with the 5 4x4s that can turn into financial traps, counting down from concerning to genuinely catastrophic. Number 5. The Volkswagen Amarok. When the Amarok arrived in Australia, it looked like the ute that could finally out-European the established field. It offered genuine car-like refinement, a torquey V6 diesel in later models, and handling that made traditional tradie utes feel almost agricultural by comparison. Tradies and weekend adventurers alike were drawn to that badge sitting on a 4x4 tray, and early reviews praised its on-road manners and cabin quality. The trouble for many owners began with the dual-clutch transmission and the comparatively thin Volkswagen dealer network once you leave the major cities. A gearbox fault that might be a routine fix in Sydney or Melbourne can become a frustrating wait in regional Queensland or outback New South Wales, with the vehicle sitting idle while a part is sourced. Servicing costs have also tended to sit noticeably higher than mainstream Japanese rivals, and some owners have reported electronic faults appearing well before the vehicle reaches old age. For a tradie who relies on the ute every single day, a transmission fault is not just an inconvenience. It is lost income while the vehicle sits in a workshop waiting on a part that has to come from somewhere else entirely. It looks small on paper, but it becomes expensive in real life. But this is still only the beginning. Number 4. The Holden Colorado and Trailblazer. For years, the Colorado held a loyal following among tradies and fleet buyers who wanted a capable ute without paying Toyota or Ford money. It towed confidently, carried weight without complaint, and the badge still carried decades of local trust, built from a different era of the brand's history. Then, in 2020, General Motors closed the Holden brand in Australia entirely. Almost overnight, owners were left wondering what would happen to their warranty, their servicing network, and their access to parts. While support has continued in various forms, many owners have found that dealer numbers thinned out, resale values dropped sharply compared to vehicles from brands still actively selling new models, and finding certain components has become a longer and more expensive process than it once was. For an owner who simply wanted a reliable daily workhorse, watching the brand itself disappear created a different kind of financial anxiety. One that has nothing to do with how well the engine runs, and everything to do with whether anyone will still be supporting it in 5 years. That is where the regret starts. The next one is where the bills start getting much harder to ignore. Number 3. The Mercedes-Benz X-Class. On paper, the X-Class looked like the ute that finally brought genuine luxury to the trayback market. It wore the 3-pointed star, offered a cabin more akin to a passenger SUV than a worksite ute, and promised buyers a level of prestige no Hilux or Ranger could match. For some Australian buyers, that badge alone justified the premium price tag. The reality proved far less flattering. Mercedes-Benz discontinued the X-Class globally after only a few years in production, and buyers increasingly questioned whether the badge justified the cost given its shared underpinnings with a more affordable rival. With production ended, resale values have fallen heavily, parts support has become less certain over time, and owners have been left holding a vehicle the manufacturer itself appears to have moved on from. For someone who paid a premium price, expecting premium long-term value, that can become a genuinely uncomfortable position. The problem is not always that the vehicle is unusable. The problem is that the cost of keeping it alive and the value lost the moment you try to sell it can become brutal. If that sounds expensive, the next 4x4 makes the ownership equation even more dangerous. Number 2. The Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Grand Cherokee has always sold itself on a particular kind of confidence. Genuine off-road pedigree wrapped in an SUV comfortable enough for the school run and capable enough for the high country. Buyers were drawn to its commanding road presence, strong towing figures, and an interior that, in higher trims, competed with European rivals at a noticeably lower price. That confidence has come with a well-documented trade-off for plenty of Australian owners. Complex electronic systems, costly componentry, and a dealer network that does not always match the depth of Toyota or Isuzu in regional areas have combined to make out-of-warranty repairs a genuine financial concern. Owners have reported issues ranging from electrical faults to transmission and air suspension problems on certain models, often arriving right around the time the factory warranty disappears. Resale values have also tended to soften faster than mainstream rivals, compounding the loss. For a family who bought the Grand Cherokee expecting rugged, dependable capability, a 5-figure repair quote can feel like a betrayal of everything the badge promised. Once a 4x4 starts costing more to maintain than it is worth, the dream turns into a financial trap, and from here, the list becomes far more uncomfortable. Number 1. The Land Rover Discovery and Range Rover. Few badges carry the same blend of prestige and genuine off-road heritage as Land Rover. The Discovery and Range Rover range built their reputation on serious all-terrain ability and an interior experience that, even today, few rivals can match for sheer presence. For a certain kind of Australian buyer, owning one feels like arriving. Proof that the years of hard work have paid off. For many owners, that feeling does not survive contact with the first major service outside warranty. Land Rover's reputation for electrical complexity, sensor faults, air suspension failures, and software glitches is widely discussed across Australian ownership circles, and when something does go wrong, repairs often require specialist diagnostic equipment and imported parts that smaller regional workshops simply cannot provide. Servicing costs sit well above mainstream rivals even when nothing is wrong, and resale values have a well-known tendency to fall sharply once a vehicle passes the 5-year mark, regardless of how well it has actually been maintained. For an owner touring remote parts of Australia, a breakdown is not just expensive, it can mean being stranded a very long way from a dealer who actually stocks the part required. That is the kind of moment that turns an aspirational purchase into the most financially dangerous decision on this entire list. But after the financial warnings, the reliable choices tell a very different story. These next 5 4x4s did not earn their reputation through marketing campaigns or showroom lighting. They earned it the hard way, across millions of kilometres of Australian roads, work sites, and outback tracks, year after year, owner after owner. Number 5. The Toyota Prado. The Prado has spent decades quietly proving itself as the 4x4 that families, tourers, and weekend adventurers actually trust to get them there and back. It offers genuine low-range off-road capability alongside a comfortable, practical cabin, equally at home on a school run and a beach track. What keeps Prado owners loyal is not flashy technology. It is the platform underneath, a well-tested drivetrain shared with other proven Toyota models, a service network that reaches almost every town in the country, and parts availability that puts most rivals to shame. Mechanics across Australia know this vehicle inside and out, which keeps both routine servicing and unexpected repairs more predictable and more affordable than many competitors. For owners, that translates into real peace of mind on a remote trip, strong resale value when it is time to upgrade, and far fewer surprise bills landing in the mailbox. It is dependable in the truest sense of the word. But even this one is not the toughest on the list. Number 4. The Isuzu D-Max and MUX. Isuzu has built an entire reputation in Australia on a single idea. Keep the engineering simple, keep it tough, and let the ownership experience speak for itself. The D-Max Ute and its MUX SUV sibling have become fleet favourites for exactly that reason, regularly chosen by government agencies, mining operations, and small businesses that cannot afford downtime. The 4-cylinder turbo diesel underneath has built a reputation for being genuinely difficult to kill, and Isuzu's long-standing focus on diesel engineering means the company is not learning the technology as it goes, the way some rivals appear to be. Servicing intervals are practical, parts are everywhere, and the platform has proven itself capable of handling towing duties, worksite abuse, and long-distance touring without drama. For tradies and fleet buyers in particular, that reliability translates directly into the bottom line. Fewer days off the road, lower running costs, and a resale value that holds up noticeably well when it eventually comes time to sell. Number 3. The Mitsubishi Triton. The Triton has never tried to be the flashiest ute on the lot, and that has arguably been the secret to its success. It has built its reputation on being affordable to buy, genuinely capable off-road, and mechanically straightforward enough that independent workshops in country towns can service it without specialist tools or a 6-week parts wait. Generations of Australian Triton owners have leaned on the same formula: a proven diesel engine, a simple and well-understood drivetrain, and a price point that leaves room in the budget for the recovery gear and accessories that actually matter on remote trips. Mitsubishi's long manufacturing history in this segment means the platform has been refined over decades rather than reinvented every few years, and that maturity shows up in fewer unexpected faults. For owners, the benefit is straightforward: lower purchase price, lower running costs, and a vehicle that keeps doing its job long after flashy arrivals have started racking up workshop visits. And the closer we get to number one, the more obvious it becomes why Australians still trust old-school durability. Number 2. The Nissan Patrol. Among serious outback travellers, station owners, and remote area workers, the older diesel Nissan Patrol holds a status that borders on legendary. While newer petrol-only versions have taken the nameplate in a different direction, the diesel Patrols that built this reputation earned it the hard way, hauling camper trailers across the Simpson Desert and serving as the backbone vehicle on cattle stations where a breakdown could mean genuine danger. What sets the Patrol apart is a drivetrain built for abuse rather than comfort, a heavy-duty chassis, a transmission that shrugs off towing loads, and an engine capable of running for hundreds of thousands of kilometers with basic, predictable maintenance. There is a reason so many remote tourism operators and outback stations still run older Patrols well past the point where other vehicles would have been retired. For owners heading well off the beaten track, that durability is not a luxury. It is the difference between a confident crossing and a genuinely dangerous situation, hundreds of kilometers from the nearest help. The final 4x4 may not be the most modern, but it might be the one you would trust furthest from home. Number 1. The Toyota LandCruiser. There is a reason the LandCruiser has become shorthand for Australian outback reliability, rather than just another vehicle on the market. From mining sites in the Pilbara to cattle stations in the Kimberley, from grey nomads circumnavigating the country to aid organisations working in some of the harshest environments on Earth, the LandCruiser has built its reputation through decades of unglamorous, uninterrupted service. The 70 series in particular has barely changed its core formula in years, and that is precisely the point. A simple, heavy-duty chassis. A drivetrain engineered to handle towing, heat, dust and corrugations without complaint. Parts availability that extends to almost every regional town in the country, and a resale value that consistently outperforms nearly everything else in this category. Even the larger 200 and 300 series models, while more comfortable and more modern, carry the same underlying philosophy of engineering for survival first and comfort second. For Australian owners, that translates into something money cannot easily buy: genuine confidence that the vehicle will start, run, and keep running, whether that means a daily commute or 1,000 kilometres of red dirt with nothing but scrub on either side. It may not be the flashiest 4x4 in the car park, and it was never trying to be. It earned its reputation the only way that actually matters in this country: by surviving real Australian ownership year after year, owner after owner. The truth this list reveals is not really about brand loyalty or showroom presentation. It is about what happens after the new car smell fades, after the warranty expires, and after the real Australian conditions: the heat, the distance, the towing, the corrugations, start asking honest questions of every vehicle on this list. The best 4x4 was never automatically the newest, the most powerful, or the most luxurious option on the lot. It is the one that genuinely matches your budget, your servicing reality, your towing habits, your location, and how far you actually plan to push it from the nearest town. Some vehicles earn trust through decades of unglamorous reliability. Others earn attention through marketing and only later reveal the real cost of ownership. Knowing the difference before you sign the paperwork is worth more than any feature list or test drive impression ever could be. So now it's your turn. Which 4x4 on this list do you trust with your own money, and which one would you genuinely avoid? Is there a 4x4 you think belongs on the bankrupt you side of this list that didn't make the cut? Let us know in the comments below.